She's the voice behind the viral comedy, bold commentary, and truth-packed interviews that cut through the chaos. Author, brand creator, proud conservative Christian, this is Elsa Kurt. Welcome to the show that always brings bold faith, real truth, and no apologies.
Oh, well, hello, my friends. It is time for one of my favorite things to do. We are doing the Elsa Kurt interviews, and I'm super excited about our guests today. The best thing about this for me is that I get to talk to people that I think are so much more interesting than I am, and you get to benefit from that as well. And today's guest is an author. His name is Trevor James Wilson, and he's written a really incredible memoir. And here is a little bit about it before we talk to him.
He's crossed continents, lived through history, and somehow kept his sense of humor. Trevor James Wilson's memoir, Where Have I Been All My Life, is part travelogue, part soul search, and entirely unforgettable. From the cafes of Paris to the shadow of the Berlin Wall, Trevor takes us on a journey of adventure, laughter, and quiet discovery. Join Elsa Kurt for a conversation about resilience, belonging, and the beauty of finding meaning wherever life leads you.
Well, Trevor, thank you for joining me on this show. I'm so excited to talk to you. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm fine. It's very nice to meet you.
It is wonderful to meet you, and I'm so excited to share your story. So, we're going to get into this part, but I just want to tell everybody again, if I didn't tell you, the name of the book is called Where Have I Been All My Life? And I'm obsessed with the title of that book, so I can't wait to hear more about it. But correct me if I'm wrong, this is your debut book. Is this your very first published book or no?
Yes, I never ever considered myself able to write a book. Being 84, my sister was asking me to write some things down because she wanted to be at my funeral and say something about my life. And so I started writing, and suddenly I had 24 chapters. And I realized that I had done a lot in my life, even though to me it wasn't very noteworthy. People who talk to me think that I've had an interesting life, and I've been able to travel the world since I was 16 years old. And I've lived in 3 countries, England, where I was born, Canada, and the United States. And I think it's been my way of educating myself to not only the ways of the world and different peoples, but how people think, and how you can inadvertently upset somebody by being careless. So it's taught me to be, I think, a better person. And so I thank travel for doing that for me.
Absolutely. What an incredible way to learn about the world and about life than, what better way than to experience it, to be immersed in it, and, not sitting necessarily in a classroom. And there's nothing against classrooms, because somebody will take that wrong. Nothing against classrooms, but real life experience is so incredible. And this memoir, it's just a sweeping memoir that takes us from Paris to Berlin to Switzerland and beyond, of course. So we're going to start right there. How does it feel to finally share your story with the world?
It feels like a weight off my shoulders, like maybe I've been trying to tell the story for so long, never even considering that a book would be the way to do it. Usually it's at dinner parties and I share anecdotes and I enjoy the reaction. But it really is a way to help people who are unsure of themselves. And I think that starts when you're very young. If you have somebody who encourages you to be adventurous, you can do a lot of things. If you can never give them that opportunity, you lead a very mundane life. So the idea of the book was to help somebody, maybe in their 30s or whatever, to realize that looking at me, they thought, well, that's not a very important person. And yet he had the courage to do things that were sometimes unknown, sometimes dangerous, and yet everything worked out well. So maybe it's worth taking a chance. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, I guess.
Mm. I love that I love the lens that you look at this through, that it's not just that you had these great adventures and you want to tell people about it because you just want people to hear about it. It's because you want to help other people be able
Yes,
to do those types of things, whether it's travel or take any kind of chance on themselves, right? I
you,
think that's such a beautiful
yeah,
gift to offer to the world. So
you, you
absolutely
can apply
beautiful.
it to anything. It doesn't have to be travel. It's just your job or anything.
Hmm.
You know, I spent 35 years of my life in banking,
Mm.
which I really didn't like at all. But there was nothing to stop me. Ended up being a senior vice president of Chase Bank
Mm.
in a profession that I hated. So you can imagine what I got into travel in my 50s as a professional travel agent. It was so easy because it was a pleasure to just do my job, you know. And I
Mm.
take groups all over the world, and to see them. I remember taking a group to Switzerland once, a walking tour, and I gave them a Swiss pass, which was good for a week of travel, and sent them off on their own to try and make connections and do things. And they'd come back and they were so excited about the fact that they got home and they saw everything. And that gave me the idea that not everybody has the initiative to do things.
Mm.
And many people look at pictures like me in front of the Taj Mahal and they think, oh my God, I wish I could have seen that. Well, there's nothing that stopped them doing it. So that's why those little teasers in the book is saying these things you've heard about can be yours. And you will have things to tell your grandchildren and spread the word down. So I think it's just this world that you're opening up and it becomes much bigger than yourself. And
Absolutely.
so that's the key to it, I think.
I love that. Did I understand you correctly? Did I hear you right that you said that in your 50s you left a high position in a long-standing career to start a completely different profession, really? That, I mean,
Yes.
that in itself, what a risk and a scary thing. That's stepping off a ledge right there in some ways to some people,
Yeah.
and takes a lot of courage.
That was one occasion where I was a little flummoxed when it happened because when people take over a bank, it's not that you're doing your job badly, it's that people want their own people underneath them, and so they get rid of the top management. Um, but I actually did, and I'm ashamed to admit this, but I actually did a year of modeling
You did. That doesn't surprise me at
because
all, sir.
because at 50 I looked pretty good then, and so I did that, and I realized it was fun, but it wasn't me.
Hmm.
And I realized what I really love doing most is taking trips. So I just went into a travel agency in Sun City, Arizona, which is a famous retirement community. And I said, I think your customers must find it difficult to travel because they're in wheelchairs, that kind of thing.
Mm.
I said, I want to start a program where every month I take these people on a trip to different parts of the world and make it easy for them. And I need a desk. I don't want to be at it very often because I actually want to travel myself. And so if you will help me to travel that way, I think I can give you a lot of income. And that lasted for over 15 years.
Wow.
And I did 100 cruises and took 80-year-old people to Antarctica and places beyond their imagination. And that excited me. And it made me, I think I've lived as long as I have because life every day is interesting. Like today is one of the most exciting times in my life. I've talked to a celebrity about something, and I never ever thought I would ever do that, you know, and yet
Mhm.
This is only the beginning. I mean,
Mhm.
last week I was in Frankfurt selling my book. It's just amazing how your life can turn around.
It's so true. And you are living at 84. Your life is so full and so exciting. And I personally know, and I'm not calling anybody out, but I personally know people, half your age, more than half your age, who are just living, mundane
Yeah,
lives and complaining about. And it's so incredible. And I love that you have been giving those experiences to people who never in their, like you said, in their wildest dreams couldn't have imagined doing some of these things and going to some of these places. And
hmm,
and what a treasure to be the facilitator of something
yeah,
like that. I can only imagine the joy that you got out of seeing them experiencing these things for the first time, and getting to see it through their eyes again. Because for you, of course, you've traveled so much, some of these places are probably no surprise. I'm sure they're no less of a wonder, but to be able to see it through their eyes again is really just such a treasure, isn't it?
yeah. When I was in travel, the phrase that I hated hearing was "been there, done that,"
Mm.
and that was something that just got my shackles up. And it was like, can I deal with this person because they have that idea of no knowledge of discovery that maybe I can't help them. They're
Mm.
just beyond help. I mean, I've been to Switzerland maybe 50 times in my life. In fact, the hotel I go to, I originally started with people who are now the grandparents, and then I dealt with the son and daughter. Now I deal with the grandkids
Yeah.
who run the hotel, and they've known me since I was 18 years old. And that's like having friends all over the world. I think of myself as not an American necessarily, although I'm very proud of that, but I'm an international citizen.
Mm.
And wherever I go, I relish learning about the culture that I'm in and the language. I don't speak much. I speak French. I speak a little bit of German, but I can always talk to somebody or even a smile. You don't even have to talk to somebody.
Mhm.
If you greet somebody with a smile, you get amazing rewards out of it. It's such a little thing to give. And that's the way I live. It's kind of life excites me very much.
That's beautiful. It exudes off of you too. You can just see, and I'm sure meeting you in person, people get that energy right away, that they can sense that and feel that. And it's inspiring. I'm inspired just hearing about it. I was inspired, with the book, of course, by myself, but just talking to you and listening to you talk about these experiences in the way that you are. I'm actually pretty reclusive. I don't do a lot of, I travel to my grandchildren. Like that's my big travel these days. It'll be like that for a while. But I
You don't
tend
look
to,
old enough to have
thank you.
grandchildren.
I tend to turn inward and, not necessarily reject those opportunities to connect with people when I'm out in the world.
Mhm.
But I don't necessarily seek them out either. And I'm doing myself a disservice by that. And you're such a great reminder of that, of the opportunities there are to connect with people and,
Mhm.
either be inspired or inspire others. So thank you for inspiring me. I appreciate that. As I'm thinking about this now, I would imagine, obviously, that it's one thing to live all of these adventures, but it's got to be another thing entirely to just sit down and relive them all on paper. What has that experience been like? Has it been good, bad, all of the things? Does it give you that nostalgia? How does it affect you how did it affect you when you were writing all of these stories out?
Um, it made me feel good that I still have a memory.
Mhm.
I live with somebody who has Alzheimer's, and that's such a tragic thing. But I actually started the book in May, and I wrote the first chapter one afternoon. That's the Turkey on the train. Then I did a story about Algeria that was kind of scary for me.
Mm.
And I thought it's coming back so easy. So my mind, I think, has been, for me, categorizing all these stories, putting them into some order. And I actually finished the book by the end of June.
Wow.
And
Wow.
yeah, and immediately I called expert book publishers, and they worked with me to format and create the manuscript. And then I chose the pictures that I sent, and that was done. And in September, I'm ready to go to Frankfurt. So I think in a way it hasn't hit me yet because it was so fast.
Yeah, it's like a whirlwind.
That it's almost too easy, but I'm always aware that everything can be improved. And I now want to start writing about my life experiences as a memoir of growing up during the war in England and seeing bombs dropping and then coming to America and leading a different life. And it's the format is in my head now. I think you may be the same way. When you have an idea for a book in your mind, you suddenly start storing things that say, I can use that. I don't know if I can write it down, but I have enough memory that I can actually recall these things. And but travel has been one. And the saddest part about it is that I read the other day that in America, geography is not a subject that is taught anymore. And I think that is so sad, because if that hadn't been the case when I grew up, I wouldn't have got into travel. I mean, I loved reading stories about different climates and things. So I think that's a sad thing. But I hope I can take the place of a geography book by writing about it, and make somebody say geography is worthwhile after all.
Oh, absolutely. I was such a slacker as a student when I was a kid that, if I had been taught geography the way that you are essentially teaching geography, it would be such a different experience, just such a different everything, instead of just like this dry, map on a piece of paper. It's like it's breathing life into it, which is, I think that's what captures people's interest. So most definitely. And I have to tell you, I'm still sitting here in awe that you were able to write this book, one, in such short order and in a short period of time. And even more importantly, your recollection, your ability to recall all this. I can't remember what I did 5 minutes ago. like to be able to remember, things with such clarity and detail and sharpness. And the book, the passages in the book are so vivid. You can smell the smells, and you can see the people in your head, and you can see this, you can see it as you're reading it. And that is just, that's an author right there.
Yeah.
That is an author. That's a writer. And I love that you said you really you didn't consider yourself a writer before this, correct?
No, I never thought of it. I mean, I wrote letters to my grandmother, but that was, I never actually sat and made journals or logs or anything like that. But it's funny how, when I look through the book, there's pictures that other people would probably find interesting. But to me, the one that I love the most is the picture of me on the ground in Switzerland and a cow licking my leg.
Oh.
That the cows in Switzerland are like beautiful. They have beautiful soft skin. They have bells around their necks, and they're so majestic. And to be approached by one was an honor. It was like,
I love cows. So
me,
yeah.
And that's the things that I remember about life. I remember the times that people have been kind to me. I remember music when I was in a particular place. And so all those things help to keep your mind active, and realize you've been very, very lucky in your life. And so that's why I think I want to make sure everybody has the best life that they can. Travel may not be the thing. But reading my book, may help them to solve different problems, different relationships, and give them the humility, because I think that is a very important part of getting on in life. You have to be have humility to be open enough to accept help or advice or something from somebody else.
That is so, so true. And something that's, greatly lacking in our society right now. And to go back to that mindset would be so beneficial to the entire world, if more people had that mindset. And I so agree with you. Gratitude and humility, I think, have to be, just one of the first thoughts in your mind every single day. And it does change. It changes how you see the world. It changes how you interact with the world. If you enter everything with that attitude of gratitude and humility and just, putting it all in perspective like that.
It's like in the political scene, people have different ideas, but there's no reason you can't listen to another person's point of view.
Right.
These days, people they shut themselves out to the other side, and nothing gets done because of that. There's no negotiation, which I think to me is the main part of diplomacy. You've got to bargain. You can't have it all your own way. But no, I'm very, very happy person usually. And I live with it. I have stage 4 kidney disease, but I don't let that run my life. I don't need dialysis yet. And my kidney level has been the same for the past 6 years.
Wow.
Because I don't let it get to me. I make rules that I don't abuse my body, but I don't let it govern my life. And if I want a treat that's not on my diet, I have it. I just don't have too much of it.
Yeah, that's it should be like the rules for life in general, whether you have health concerns going on, overt health issues going on or not. It should be the kind of the rule of life, like everything. It's the whole, it goes back to the whole, like everything in moderation.
Yeah.
All of this, and don't deny yourself things, but also don't overindulge. It's the balance. My husband and I talk about that all the time. Everything in life is about balance. And if you have balance, you are, so those are the things: gratitude, humility, balance, like the recipe for life. I think we just solved all of the world's problems right here in this little interview. I think if everybody would just listen to us, they will live a very, very happy life. You mentioned something just a little while ago about, if I heard you correctly, you started traveling at age 16. Is that right?
Yes,
a really young age to start those kind of adventures.
Well, actually, I did travel in a way, even when I was in my 9 and 10s. I was in Scotland with my relatives, and I would want to visit different places, not Edinburgh only. So I used to go out on the bus and travel to, about a whole day on the bus and come back. And they were always surprised when I walked back through the door. So I think that was the very start of it. I went to Switzerland when I was 10 years old with a school party just after the war, and going out of London with all the smog and everything, and going to Switzerland and seeing, because Switzerland wasn't damaged during the war, and to see things pristine and green and sunshine. It was like, this is wonderful. I just, when you realize that there's better places than where you live, that is an impetus to start traveling. Nowadays, I look back at England and say, what a wonderful country that has given a lot of things to other people. And I'm still enjoying, but that doesn't mean I don't want to live there anymore, because I love the American way of life and the freedom and the opportunity to live, they say, the American dream. But the American dream doesn't mean a lot of money. To me, it means freedom to do what you want to do. And as long as you don't hurt anybody, I think everybody has that right.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when you talk about freedom, it actually takes me back to a part in your book where you talk about Berlin during the Cold War. And first of all, it reads like a movie scene. It's just so epic. I
Yeah.
have to say, it's just so epic. And you wrote something that really did stop me for a moment. You said, standing there with one foot in freedom and one foot in fear, you could feel history holding its breath. And that's such a powerful line,
Yeah.
to be right there in that moment, living in that moment, watching these two divided worlds, and they're, not just by concrete, by ideology and by hope. What a wild juxtaposition in a way that is to
It was the
things that are
most
happening.
amazing, to have a city that was torn. Countries, you understand, they're different, you have a border. But there was a bastion of Western culture within the communist world, and it was living, looking at West Berlin at the time, it was just like any other Western city. But when you got out of the wall divided you, and the other side was something entirely different. I remember when I went through the wall and went up the tower, there was a tower, I think it was a radio tower, but it had a revolving bulb on the top. And one of the wonderful things I remember hearing about it was that when the sun shone on it in East Berlin at the right time, it made a cross. And I thought that was such a wonderful symbol of religion and freedom. And when you went up that tower, it was like at the Empire State Building. But you go around, and on the western side, there was blanks. I mean, when you're looking at the eastern side, they pointed out the churches and everything. And then when you went to their side, it's just a white sheet. And I thought, do they really think that there's nothing behind that? There was something almost bizarre about it, to say that you can't block out the rest of the world. It's going to be there. You just have to learn to accommodate that.
Yeah.
But there's so many things in travel that gave me that feeling of that I was very lucky, and but I had so much to learn from when I was 16 up to when I was 80. I still was learning things on a trip, and I've gone to some pretty rough places, but I've never been to a place I haven't enjoyed. I've made something about it that, this is not in the book, but one of the last trips I took was to Albania, which to me sounded so foreign and communist, and there was really nothing there to see. But I went to this park, and while I was thinking, I must see something that's going to excite me. So there was a little river, and across the other side of the river was a line of two children standing there on a road. And suddenly they began getting closer, and I couldn't understand what it was. Well, the road was the ferry. So the piece of the road was ropes, took it across to our side of the river, and then it joined the road here. And I'd never ever seen a piece of a road used as a ferry boat. And I think that was absolutely exciting. So that made my trip to Albania worthwhile.
Wow, absolutely. I mean, the sites that you've seen are just, it's so hard for most of us, people like me who haven't done extensive traveling, to even imagine. Seeing a picture is one thing, but to experience all these different sites and things that are so foreign to what is just an unmatchable experience, I would imagine. You said a few minutes ago, I want to touch back on this if you don't mind. You said, and I could be paraphrasing a little bit, but you said something to the effect of, I used to think I was lucky. I suspect I was being looked after, which again struck me. I feel like, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like there's a quiet undercurrent of spirituality and meaning woven throughout the entire book. And I don't think it's not preachy at all, but it's deeply human. And would you say that travel kind of deepened your faith and whatever that means for you?
Yeah.
And also, of course, your sense of purpose, right?
Yes. For for example, when I go to Switzerland, and I think it's in the book, I never really thought much about proving that there's a heavenly body or whatever. But the scenery is so beautiful that I can't believe that it happened by accident. And so that's, for me, everybody has personal things, but that's what makes me think that there's something out there. But personally, I believe the greatest thing is knowing the difference between evil and good. And if you do good things, wherever you look at things, whatever you look up to, whether it's Buddha or Jesus or anything, that should be the thing that governs you. But I do have the feeling, because of the beauty of some parts of the world, that they couldn't have happened by chance.
Oh yeah. I feel the same way, in such a simple sense of it. I'm 54 years old, and I still, if there's a full moon or a beautiful sunset or a gorgeous tree, I still have to point, or an adorable cow, by the way, because I love cows. I still have to exclaim like a child, oh, look at the sun. Oh, look at the moon. Look at that tree.
Yeah.
Look at how green the grass is. And it's just, there is something about nature and just its absolutely delicate beauty, but also the incredible strength for these elements to exist in continuity like that is just, it's awe-striking, I think. So yeah, I have to agree with you on that fully.
Yeah, because they don't, what about, and there's people who try to seduce you, and that's a human thing. But a scenery or a flower, they don't do anything at all to entice you. So that's very, very pure, that kind of beauty. And I think that's why I get turned on by scenery sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, it's so wonderful. It really is. It makes me want to go outside. Right? Can we take this interview outside? It's actually a little chilly here. It's chilly here where I am. I'm not going outside right now.
Yeah.
You mentioned Switzerland. So some of the most vivid writing in the book comes from your time there. How did those experiences shape your outlook on people in general?
How do I think the fact there's something in Switzerland about walking, doing something of your own steam. And I started my life in Switzerland by hiking in the hills and doing that. And when you walk along the roads, the paths, the other thing that's wonderful about Switzerland is that the signposts saying to go to somewhere down a path have it in time. So it doesn't say how many miles it is. It tells you how long it takes you to get there.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that so much more.
That's really, really interesting to me. And the people who walk, I used to travel with my cousin who has died, but he was, did everything I said. And as you walked along, it's customary for people to greet one another, those who pass on the paths. And we used to look at the distance and see the person coming toward you and say, oh, I think they're French. So we'd say, bonjour. And of course they say, guten Tag, it's like, so we got that one wrong. But that's what we did each day, was to guess.
That's so fun.
The nationality of the people come towards us. And the other thing is about Switzerland, about discovery, is when you're down at the bottom of a valley, and this is true in the place I go to, as the funicular climbs up, suddenly the mountains come visible. You can suddenly see these white mountains, and they're exposed inch by inch until you have all these mountains around you. And I love that unveiling, as I call it. Also, when it's a bad day in Switzerland, all you see is clouds, but you know that one time, suddenly the cloud is going to go and the mountains are back. And there's so much that's why I can spend a week in Switzerland just doing nothing, just
enjoying.
Waiting
soaking
for
it all in, right?
change. Yeah.
Is that your favorite place to go? It sounds like it'd be your favorite. Is it your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
Overall, although there are other places that I like a beach in somewhere, or like in Tokyo, I enjoy the way that people live, because to me it's very much like England. There's lots of people on a small island. Tea is the main thing in their life, and they're very polite. So,
I love that, so every place that you've talked about, including, I think, what was the last one? Albania, I think you
yeah,
said, and you started off by saying, there wasn't much to see there, but you find something beautiful or joyful or appealing about every single place you go. And I suspect that you would be able to do that in the most unappealing place ever. You would probably be someone who could say, yeah, but this here is, you would find something good. And that is such an absolutely charming quality. So
it's like my time in Algeria, which, if you read that chapter, was kind of scary. But what it came out of it at the end was that I had these two people who looked like Yasser Arafat in a taxi that was not legal. And they were with me for over 8 hours one day, trying to find a place for me to stay. And then they left me at this place, which was horrible. Not their fault. It was the only place we could find. And yet, at 4 o'clock in the morning, I had to get up, and they promised they'd come and pick me up. And I had no money left because I'd given all my money away by this time. And at 4 o'clock, I could see the dust of the car coming down the hillside to get me. And that is my memory of the trip. The people that had nothing, they were kind. There was something about it. Other people would say, oh, I can't trust them. I have to leave. I have to do something. But they proved to me that in any culture, regardless of the situation, somebody will help you.
That's so true. I come from a part of of the United States that isn't quite as friendly to people in general. Not a lot of waving to each other, and more of, if somebody waves to you, your first thought is, what do they want? What are they up to? And so anytime I go to, say, like the southern states, it's so different. It's such a different experience. And I think when we live a small life, and I put myself in the category of living a small life, when we live a small life, we do tend to forget or simply not realize that there's so much more good and goodness out there in people, in humanity, than we realize, because we're trapped behind computer screens and phones and televisions and news and all of these things that constantly show you the negative parts of humanity. And they always say, like, if you want to calm yourself down, put your phone down, turn the TV off, go outside and talk to people, meet people in the real world, and it will change, it will right your perspective pretty quickly. So it's such a good reminder, all of the things that you're saying about your encounters, about people from different parts of the world that we just generally don't experience.
When in England, when I was in my teens, Americans would come over, and of course they had a bad reputation during the war, but I could go to restaurants and Americans would come in, and I hear them talking about the fact that they didn't get a glass of water with their meal. And what they didn't realize was that we didn't have any water at those times.
Yeah.
It was very, there wasn't plastic bottles like there are today. And so I really resented that. And it took a while for me to say, okay, I guess they have expectations for home, but they are in a foreign country and they should cool it from us.
Yeah, we do as Americans have very bad social etiquette when we visit other countries. We need to do much, much better than what we do. I like to believe that we do now, but I don't think that we do. I just don't think so. It's it's that small life perspective that, and it's a terrible mindset to be
I
in.
think
Really.
we've gone from a Me Too to a Me generation. And,
Oh, that's
that
so true.
is,
It's so
very
true.
upsetting.
Hmm.
And why I make it my business as an ambassador for Americans when I travel now to try and write it a little bit and say, hey, we're not all bad, So, but
Thank you for paving the way for us a little bit, for toning it down before everybody gets so mad at us.
yeah,
Rightfully so. But yeah, it's so true. And I want to talk about. So you talk about some mishaps that in your book that actually had me chuckling out loud. And you tell them with, again, that word that we talked about before, with such humility and humor. I would imagine, I think I know the answer to this, but I want you to answer it anyway. Do you think that humor and laughter is part of your and really anyone's resiliency?
yes, I think I recently came across a song by Bette Midler. It's not very well known, but it's all about laughter and ends up by saying, laughing matters.
Mm.
And I really believe that. If you can't have a chuckle or laugh within a day, depression is not far behind. So I like to, and of course I get in bad moods. Everybody does. But I'm always cognizant of the fact that I'm in that state.
Mhm.
And I try to pick up something that's going to make me laugh or watch something that's funny, because that is the most, I think laughter makes you live long, because if you can see the humor in life, then you enjoy being around as long as you can.
Listen, as somebody who has comedy as her default setting, I completely relate to that. Yes. Oh, that is so true. And I agree. And listen, my laugh lines agree with you as well, because I laugh way more than I frown. So thankfully, it's so grateful for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I clearly, I completely agree with you. Let's see, what else do I want to ask you? Oh, you also share some more introspective moments, times of loneliness and of searching. Did revisiting those memories bring any sense, if you needed it, closure, or did it open new reflections for you, coming from a different place and point in life?
One of the most moving things I saw was when I went to Auschwitz in Poland. And to see what's left. I mean, it's and I don't know whether it's. I have mixed feelings. There you go through a shed which has bunks and ovens and then these pile of suitcases and shoes and glasses, and I had to deal with that, and it was like I turned it around to say, thank God they saved them. Because if they didn't, people might start believing that it never happened.
Yeah.
And so that helped me with that. And then the other part was to say, when I can come back, I can spread the message too. This must never happen again. And I'm not Jewish, but I do. That doesn't make any difference. It's anybody who's persecuted has to have champions. It's just the only way. You can't have hatred winning.
Yeah. And that's, part of one of the biggest problems that we have now, that people want to erase history and pretend that things didn't happen because it's ugly and because it's uncomfortable and all of those things. And you're so right. If those, and what an amazing way to turn something that's so gut wrenching and so hard on your heart to even see, because we do tend to want to turn away from things that are ugly and painful and hurt, to even look at, to think about, but to look at that, to see the suitcases and the shoes and the clothing and all of these things, and to stop yourself from turning away and finding what you could make good from something so bad, so terrible.
Right.
Again, I used the word in the beginning with you, and I have to say it again. It's such a treasure to have someone like you specifically, going out and doing these things and sharing what you've seen and what you've learned and what you know from that. Just again, what a treasure to have and to share with the world. It's just, it blows my mind. It's amazing to me.
The one thing, I don't know if you read the chapter about France, which I love, but this family who, older couple who kind of adopted me once. And when I asked them one day, why me? Why did you pick on me to be nice to? And they said, because you're about the same age that their son would have been. He died during the war. And when we're with you, we think we have him back for a while.
Oh, my heart. Oh, yeah.
And that was such a responsibility to me.
Sure.
Because it was like they were so raw in their feelings about it that I ended up for 10 years always visiting them when I went to Paris.
Wow.
Because I knew they were going to be part of the family.
Wow. That's just incredible. I know we've kind of touched on this in parts here and there, but the writing process itself and that for you, it came very easily and very quickly. But there are parts typically authors find difficult in their writing. It's different for everybody. I think some people hate the editing. Some people hate, hate's a strong word, but dislike certain parts of it. Was there any part of your writing process that you found either tedious or just unenjoyable or just unpleasant? Or was it just I have a feeling with you, I feel like it was a great experience all around.
I was excited all along, mainly because after I wrote it and I sent it off I didn't even read it. I just sent it off. I thought that's their job. They do. But I then got the proof and I read through it. And what was exciting to me was that it lived again for me. It was like having the trips all over again. And it was a wonderful feeling because I never thought that that was why I wrote a book.
Right.
Even more for other people. But I got a lot out of it. And I don't know whether it could improve. I don't know. In my way of thinking, it's like if it's a memoir, it should be the first thing, your words, and you don't try to tart it off as something else. So I was quite happy with what I read, and that was an extra bonus that I didn't consider.
That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Yeah, I have to admit, there's very little about the writing process that I don't love. I've come to love all different parts of it. I was always impatient about the self-editing part, because you get in that, well, like, well, I already know the story because I wrote it. I know the story, but, so I would get a little, and then I just had to do that little mind shift of like, no, this is really exciting. You get to read this from, take yourself out of it, essentially, and read it from a different perspective, which is what you got to do with your book, reading it, after they had done their stuff. It's, and especially if you get a little time away from it, which is, a few months probably, right? Or weeks or whatever the case was. And then when it comes back to you, you're like, oh, I wrote this. I wrote this. It's a wild feeling. How did it feel holding your book in your hands for the first time?
Oh, that was incredible. I have it here, actually, by the side of me. Because it was a hardcover, which is very impressive than a paperback. So the first time I saw it on Amazon, it was like, oh my God. And then actually my sister in England got a copy before I did, because the distribution in England was better. Yeah. And she was actually the first person to see, I knew the cover because that I designed with them, but to actually see a hard copy and realize that I thought about libraries all over the world, and I thought about, oh my God, one day this will be in a library if I'm lucky. But anyway, even if my book sells 0 copies, I was still been the most wonderful experience, and talking with you and making an old person feel young again
I think you are, I think mentally you are younger than me, sir. I think you definitely are. I think you have more energy in 1 hour than I have in an entire day. I think you are so inspiring to just live life fully. It's just such a joy to sit and talk with you. It really
That's very
is.
sweet of you. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're so welcome. I do have one more question for you before I ask like the final question.
Okay.
If you could revisit one moment in this book, and not necessarily to change it, but to relive it, what would it be?
I'd like to go back to the cow and see if he'll still lick me.
Oh, I love it. That was a perfect answer. That was the most perfect answer that could ever be.
Yeah.
That would be my answer. Anything to do with the animals, that would be my answer. That's beautiful. I love that. Okay, now for the truly last question. Where can everybody find your books and find out more about you? If there's a website, I think you mentioned Amazon.
The Amazon sells the book. Actually, I found that there are several books with this title.
Okay.
For different subject matter, nothing to do with, mainly to do with getting through a difficult period. But mine is more humor-based, I believe. So Amazon and Barnes & Noble has it. In fact, I'm doing a book signing in Barnes & Noble next week, I think.
Awesome.
But I think there is a website called trevorjameswilson.com, and that has pictures of my trip to Frankfurt to the book fair, and also probably something from this talk with you will end up on there. I don't know.
Yes, indeed. There will be. I hope so, at least. I want to be on there. Yes, I love that. That would be so amazing. I cannot thank you enough for coming on and sharing your stories and your heart and just your humor and your exuberance for life and all of your adventures. And thank you so much for coming on today. I appreciate it.
It was a pleasure. And I can tell you one thing, that you put me at such ease that it's very easy to have a good time.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Scared. So,
good. I'm so glad. No, I could have just sat back and said nothing and let you run this entire thing and you would have done phenomenal, because you're just a joy to listen to. So thank you.
Thank you.
By the way, can I just say, I feel if you haven't thought about it already, I feel like you should narrate your own book, because you have such a pleasing voice to listen to. And I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just, putting more on your plate to do.
It has been discussed, and they told me about hiring people, and they would come up with male and female, and I thought, that doesn't make any sense. A woman couldn't write this story or read this story because it's my story. But yes, I'm planning on doing it myself.
Oh, good.
When I get hold of a microphone and something that makes it work. I'm very bad at the mechanics, so if somebody can set me a microphone and a recording device, I will go through it all myself.
Awesome. Oh, I love it. Good. That will make my heart so happy. I'm going to put that in my like watch list or wish list in there, or I'll have you text me or email me when it's available in audiobook too, because I want both.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Had a wonderful time.
Wonderful. I'm so glad. I did too. Thank you. All right, my friends, thank you all for joining us for this special interview. The links will be in the show notes. You'll be able to get the book, all of those good things, and we will see you in the next episode. Take care. Bye-bye.
You've just met Trevor James Wilson, author of Where Have I Been All My Life? You can find his book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and most major online retailers. To learn more, visit trevorjameswilson.com. Thanks for watching the Elsa Kurt